Hi there, Mike Brady with Generosity Wealth Management, a comprehensive full-service financial services firm headquartered right here in Boulder, Colorado. Although you can tell that by the background that I am still at the cabin in Wyoming. If you're going to be stuck inside, may as well be stuck inside at 8,500 feet with beautiful wilderness all around you while you're working. I'm recording this on June 30th. It was 3 months ago that I stood before you like I am right now to give a first quarter update. And at that time, February and March had been absolutely devastating. The biggest decline in a very long time, definitely since the 2008, but also the worst kind of quarter, because it was very rapid, very decline, very sharply and very rapid. Who would have known, and this is where humility comes into it, that the very next quarter, it would be roaring back in one of the best quarters in decades. It has been remarkable. Now, what many people are trying to answer is, why is that? I've been this is probably my 12th or 13th video so far this year. And there's a theme that's in these videos, which is we're many times looking for simple answers to complex problems. I believe that it's just sort of the way we're wired, the way that we kind of evolutionarily, is fight or flight. That's very simple. You don't sit there and say, well, I wonder what the intent is of that, that thing who's chasing me. No, you have to make a couple of choices very quickly. Today, we have a complex world, and a lot of times we're looking for, well, is this good or is this bad? It's very, very binary in that regard, when really it is a complicated formula with lots of different variables into the economy, and of course, how that relates into particular investments. I'm going to put up on the screen a chart. That is what the unmanaged stock market index has done for the last quarter. And then I'm going to put another chart on. You can see it, the context of the last 6 months, the year to date, and then the last 12 months. It's important to remember how our time horizon and what's happening today are interrelated. If we make long-term decisions based on short-term trends, short-term emotions, that is a recipe for disaster. You've heard this from me in other videos. You're hearing that from me today. So it's important for us to really let that sink in and ask ourselves, how are we making decisions? Are we making things because of a story that we're telling ourselves about what's happening? Maybe to justify the feeling that we're having? Or are we having a long-term, more logical approach to it, which I believe is the better approach? I'm going to put up on the screen a chart. You've seen this before because it is such an important chart. I think that it bears repeating. The columns on the left-hand side going back to 1950, that's 70 years of that. First column is 100% stock market index, the S&P 500, unmanaged. The next one is an unmanaged bond index, and then a blend of 50% of these two. You can see that they have high highs and low lows. That's in 1 year, as we do, looking back 70 years. When we look at rolling 5-year time frames since 1950, I want to highlight the third bar there, which is there's never actually been, with a 50% stock and bond mix, a year going back 70 years where you haven't at least broke even to made just a little bit on average per year. The future could be different. Absolutely. Anyone who says that they know the future, completely 100% is fooling you, and you shouldn't believe them. However, for me, if I'm investing long term, I think that it makes a lot of sense to be in the market and be diversified. It is also a wonderful time for us to have sort of a, in the Super Bowl or in a football game, you have a halftime and you take a break, you go get a hot dog, a hamburger, and maybe a Coke. At that time, you can reflect on the first half of the game and then talk about the second half. This might be a wonderful opportunity to make sure some of the other areas of your life are together. Your retirement analysis. If you're my client, I've done one for you. If you feel that now's the time to talk about it again, you're feeling uncomfortable, you're wondering what it might look like, might need a refresher, give me a call and we can go over that. Life insurance, because the loss of a spouse or significant other can be devastating. No matter what great planning you've done in other areas, that loss of income or that loss can be, just absolutely devastating. Loss of your ability to work. There's many things that we can look at. Estate planning. When's the last time you've done your estate planning? If it was, gosh, I don't remember, maybe 10 years, you got a problem, okay, in my opinion. You've got to look and keep those things updated. Now might be a wonderful time to make sure those things are in order as well. As we look towards the third quarter, I think it's going to be one of the most, not memorable, the most important quarters in a very long time. We've just had a huge shock to the system from an economic point of view. In June, we had some strong, recovery numbers. But the question is, will that continue? Will the third quarter be a very sharp reversal of the slowdown that we saw in April and May? There's a lot of economists out there that believe that the third quarter will be incredible. Of course, there are many that believe it will not. Okay, so you have to think, you got to listen to both sides and make up the choice and the decision for yourself. However, I think that what this next quarter, kind of how it unfolds, may be very, important to how the short-term future, when we're looking out 6 months and 12 months, unfolds. The first quarter, in my opinion, was a huge overreaction, a huge oversold, very emotional to something that was unknown. It was that fog of war that they talk about. I think in April and May, there was a realization that might have happened. Maybe things weren't, as we're looking to the future, not quite as bad as what they might have seemed like in February and March. But the real test, I think, is going to be this next quarter. So I'm going to be standing in front of the camera here, talking with you again 3 months from now. And of course, I'll have videos along the way as well. Whenever something important happens, or I'm just getting some words of advice that I want to share with you. This is what you should expect from your financial advisor. If we're on the same team, I've used the analogy of a fitness coach. I'm your financial coach. Okay, it's the same type of thing. Got to have good communication. But I'm going to be here 3 months from now. We're going to see what this next quarter looks like. I hope that it's good, because I think that that'll be really important for the long term. But that being said, I think that long-term diversification, having the right time horizon with the right investments for that time horizon is very, very important. Probably the most important thing. Michael Brady, Generosity Wealth Management, 303-747-6455. You have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend, and of course, let's all hope for a wonderful quarter. Bye-bye now.